Period 3, Unit 3, Section 5 are events and ideas that led to a call for and the adoption of the U.S. Constitution. Well, the Revolutionary War lasted from 1776 to 1783. From 1776 to 1781, there were only a group of men running the country called the Second Continental Congress. They did not have a framework or a written government until 1781. That first written government, that first constitution, became known as the Articles of Confederation. When the Articles of Confederation were written, they were written to ensure that the states would be the most powerful entity in this new government, not the national government. So with this document shown here in this picture, the Articles of Confederation was born as the first constitution. The Articles gave more power to the states than they did the national government. The authors of the Articles of Federation, the Second Continental Congress, purposely put weaknesses into the Articles to ensure that the power of the national government would be limited. Here are just a few examples. Let's talk about them individually. First, there would be no executive branch. That refers to a president. That refers to a dictator, a single individual who has way too much power. And here the colonists were thinking of the king, and they did not want a repeat of that. B is could not tax. And what they mean by this is no national tax. They were okay with state taxes. They understood the necessity of raising revenue. They were just against the national government placing a tax on the states, and so they outlawed it. And then no national army. They did not want another case of redcoats or British men like the British Army coming into their homes, like the Quartering Act, or forcing them to follow the rules of the national government. So they took the power of the national government to have an army away and gave that power to the states and allowed the states to form militias. The most important law passed by the Articles of Federation government is referred to as the Northwest Ordinance. The Northwest Ordinance was legislation that controlled how the first 5 territories to petition for statehood, which included Wisconsin, Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, and Ohio, it allowed them to become states. The method for becoming a state under the Northwest Ordinance was that when the population of that territory reached 60,000, it could apply for statehood. Other aspects of the Northwest Ordinance were that it outlawed slavery in the Northwest Territory. So slavery up until this point had not been outlawed in any of the states. Beginning with the 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th states, slavery was outlawed. It called for the formation of public schools. And the important thing to remember here is the way the public schools would be funded. Our forefathers felt like schools were important to expand democracy and make democracy work. So, but they also felt like it was wrong for churches to be funding the schools and having that influence on the schools. So, with the Northwest Ordinance, the funding of schools becomes based on taxes, not tithes. And last but not least, and probably the most important aspect of the Northwest Ordinance is it begins to lead to Americans, not British colonists, Americans moving westward, so westward migration. The challenge to the Articles of Federation is going to happen in Massachusetts. A group of farmers, to be honest with you, Revolutionary War veterans, are upset by the state taxes that Massachusetts has initiated upon them. So they rise up and they begin to burn government buildings and attack government officials. The state calls out the militia to put the rebellion down, but the militia fails to successfully put the rebellion down. So the state asks the national government to intercede, and the national government responds that the states did not give them a national army to put the rebellion down. Eventually, the rebellion fades away, but a lot of the people, most important people in the colonies, realized that this rebellion demonstrated the weaknesses of the national government. And that is that in the one case, that it did not have a national army to put this rebellion down. So in 1787, the states send delegates back to Philadelphia to see if it's possible to revise or change the Articles of Federation to make it stronger. This ends period 3, unit 3, Roman numeral 5.